Greetings, salutations, and welcome to Sportslook, the sports television program for the high plains of West Texas and eastern New Mexico. I'm your host, Doc Elder, and just like the movie that won Paul Scofield the Academy Award as Best Actor in 1966, tonight I'm a man for all seasons. I've got Albert Flynn, of course. Greyhound Rodeo is a fall and a spring sport. I've got Brent Owen. He's the basketball coach. That's a winter sport. We're going to have Andres and Peyton with a high school spotlight. But as always, I'll start out with an Eastern recap. Greyhound volleyball lost a match on Saturday to St. Mary's. Greyhound soccer tied a match 1-1 against St. Mary's on Saturday. Greyhound cross-country men competing in the Lone Star Conference preview meet in Lubbock on Saturday finished a respectful sixth. Greyhound women finished an amazing first at that meet. And the Greyhound football team, in the last minute of their game against Western New Mexico, playing for the Chili Bowl, scored a touchdown, recovered an onside kick, scored another touchdown, missed an extra point, and then recovered a fumble. I didn't think that was possible, but I was broadcasting, saw it with my own eyes. Well, that has been an Eastern recap, so we'll clear this out and we'll bring in our first guest, Albert Flynn, right now. Welcome back to Sportslook, and we welcome back to the set of Sportslook the head coach of Eastern New Mexico University Rodeo, Albert Flynn. And Coach, welcome back to Sportslook.
Thank you, sir.
Well, the last time we had you on, we were talking about the College Days Rodeo, and a couple of rodeos have taken place since then. Bring us up to speed on how things have been going.
Slow. We have a couple of young ladies that continue to make it back to the short round. Stacey Moore has consistently made it back in the barrel race and the goat tying. And this last weekend, she was sixth in the goats and fourth in the barrels. And as long as she can continue to get her some points, and then the big rodeos, whenever she hits a lick, well, then all them points will add up. Madeline's made it back in two events at Vernon, and then she made it back in the barrel race this last week and knocked the barrel to keep them placing in the barrel race. But those two girls are basically the heart of the program, and the other girls that we have, well, it's a hit and miss. They're just not as seasoned.
And on the boys' side, we had talked about Trent Wood the very first day at the College Days Rodeo. How's he been doing?
You know, at Saul Ross the next weekend, he made it back to the short round. He didn't make it back to short round at Vernon or this last week in Canadian. But the young man's ropes well and just has to kind of get past that freshman year and you know, some mistakes that just accidentally happen. And, I mean, like he had a nice calf here this weekend and roped him in good shape, but calf got around him before he got to him and kind of kept him from being quick enough. But he's going to get along okay.
Yeah, there are a lot of variables involved in particular events.
Yes. You know, and in the barrel race, you know, them girls are running against 165 barrel races, and only 10 of them get to come back to the short round. So they're doing pretty well if they consistently make it back to the short round.
And it occurs to me, looking at rodeo, that there are some events like barrel racing where it's controllable elements. It's you, your horse, and just how fast you make it through. Some of the events, it's like the animal that you're competing against, and that's just luck of the draw.
Right, absolutely. You know, to put together 100 calves for them to where they only have to rope them twice, it's hard to find 100 that'll be even. So you have to draw the good ones, and then when you draw a good one, you have to make your run and get back. Usually in the short round, there's always 10 good calves in the short round, but drawing one of them to get you there is the trick.
And it occurs to me to kind of mix sports metaphors. The Harlem Globetrotters used to play against the Washington Generals. That was the team that they played every week. I can imagine that it's not the same set of cattle that follow you around every rodeo.
No, it's a different set. And, very seldom do the contractors end up having the same set of cattle, especially like the ones that were here and they didn't go anywhere else. And the ones that were Sul Ross, they just went to that one rodeo. And what we're going to rope at Tech will be different set of cattle. So, they usually run them twice and sometimes 3 times. If you happen to get the third run on them, then you have an idea if you have a good one or one that you're not going to win anything on.
And I've never asked you this question before. How do you choose a contractor?
Well, we've just been fortunate. Mitch Terrell was contracting the rodeo before I came, did an excellent job, and we just continued to use him. We do him on a 4-year contract. Every fifth year, we have to sign a new one and get bids, and then sign him up for another 4 years. It's tough on him and tough on us because he has to guess what it's going to cost him in 3 years down the road. And if we was able to do it year at a time, I'm sure it wouldn't cost us near as much to put it on. But we just because of the process, we choose to do them on 4-year contracts.
And that leads me to another question that I've never. So why is the process that way?
It has to do with the university policies in bids for the amount of money that he has to have. Well, it has to go through a bidding process. That process takes time. And rather than to use it up every year, we just use it up once.
Well, Coach, I am really glad. I'm always glad when I have you as a guest, but especially when I learn things. And I've learned a whole bunch just in the short amount of time we've had you on. So typically, how many companies will try to get the bid?
Normally, there's about 3, and none of them want to do a 4-year contract. And those that do, they're tremendously high, and they just don't know. Mitch has been here long enough that he knows what it's going to take and what he can afford to come for. What we don't know, like the first year he came was the year that diesel went to over $4, and now we're back to 14 years later, back to $4 diesel, and then the number of cattle, the events have grown from 100 breakaway ropers to 200 breakaway ropers. Instead of bringing 50 calves, he has to bring 100 just for the breakaway. So that's additional cost that he wasn't expecting.
Well, Coach, we talked about the fact you did the Frank Phillips Rodeo this past weekend, and there's always pressure on your competitors anyway, but especially last weekend, because last weekend was the tail end of midterms at Eastern New Mexico University. So your kids had to be students, they had to be athletes.
Hopefully they were students before they went. They had everything out of the way, but I do know that some of them take their laptops with them and computers, and the biggest problem there at Canadian was there wasn't any Wi-Fi. It had broke somewhere. Anyhow, we were having service for 2 days, and if they were trying to get on those 2 days, they were out of luck. But then the good side down through there, being athletes, they do get an excuse. They just have to make it up, and it's a matter of what the professors will allow them to do. But I think on the most part, they had their midterms put away before they went.
And next up for Greyhound Rodeo, you were saying is Texas Tech?
Go to Texas Tech at the end of the month. It's always on Halloween weekend. So 28th, 9th, 30th this year. Halloween's then the 31st is Sunday.
Is that the last rodeo of the fall?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, Coach, we wish you the very best of luck, and let's hope that this coming spring we've got more competitors that we can talk about that have a chance to go into the national.
Yeah, hopefully we will. we think we have the quality. We just have to draw right.
Very good. Well, that's life in general. We just have to draw right.
That's true.
Well, that is going to wrap up our first interview segment. So what we'll do is we'll clear the set and we'll cue up a high school spotlight courtesy of Andres and Peyton right now.
Good evening and welcome to High School Spotlight. I'm your co-host, Andres Chavez.
And I'm Peyton Santillanes, and tonight we'll be recapping high school volleyball, starting with the Portales Rams versus the Hobbs Eagles.
Now let's get to those highlights. Portales will start off on serve receive as number 4, Haley Disney will put it up. A one-option pass that will get set to number 11, Kylie Payton for a deep cross court kill.
The Rams' number 3, Ariam Lujan, will play some defense here, and lefty number 12, Rebecca Courtney, will score out of transition.
Hobbs sends over a free ball, but the Rams are not able to terminate as Payton is met at the net by 2 Eagle defenders.
The Rams will play some defense again as libero number 5, Tegan Faust, digs the ball, which then finds its way to Payton in the back row for a kill.
Hobbs libero number 3, Cameron Cantu, will pick up a perfect 3 pass, which will go to number 6, Jayla David, on a slide kill right down the line.
After being denied at the net, the Rams will cover the ball and send it back over. The Eagles will find number 7, Anaya Joseph, in the back row for a back row attack. This will end the first set, 25-18, Hobbs up 1.
The second set will start with a free ball from Hobbs picked up by Faust and delivered to Payton on the 3 for a kill that slices the tape and is shanked.
The Eagles on serve receive will put up a 3 pass, but the hit is denied at the net by number 14, Adriana Garcia, and number 7, Emma Long.
After siding out to get the serve back, Hobbs number 3, Wisdom Anthony, will get an ace.
Portales will put up a 3 pass in order to find Payton on the slide, but she is shut down by Joseph on the outside.
Faust will put up another perfect pass to setter number 10, Riley Schillings, who will find the middle Garcia for a kill with the tip.
The Rams on serve receive here as Schillings receives a 1 pass and throws it outside to number 1, Audrey Payton, who will get it blocked.
Hobbs number 5, Sahari Gutierrez, back at the service line for an ace, ending the second set 25-22.
Faust will initiate the third set, and we see a bit of a rally here with the big block at the net, which causes Hobbs to send over a free ball. The Rams will find Courtney on the right side for a kill.
However, the Eagles quickly respond with a perfect pass and set to Joseph on the outside for a line kill.
Portales will serve again, and Hobbs is able to execute another perfect set to the outside. But this time, it's number 4, Anthony, with the kill.
A short rally here as Payton gets blocked on the step, but quickly covers herself and sends it over. Then Hobbs middle, number 6, David, will score on a tip.
Portales will receive and try to get a first ball kill, but is blocked once again by Hobbs defenders.
Faust will pick up a 2 pass, and the setter will go to Payton, who sends over a tip. The Eagles pick it up and terminate on the outside for a deep cross court kill.
The Rams will initiate this ball and are unable to play defense as the Eagles' number 4, Anthony, will pick up another kill on the outside.
Faust back to serve. Hobbs number 7, Joseph, will pass and kick it out for a sharp kill on the outside.
Portales will serve on game point. Hobbs setter Gutierrez will find Joseph on the slide for a touch off the block that will end the game in a clean sweep for Hobbs. The final score of the match is 25-18. That's all the highlights we have for you tonight.
But before we pass it back to Doc at the desk, be sure to like us on Facebook, follow our Instagram and Twitter, and subscribe to our YouTube channel. And as always, I'm Andres Chavez.
And I'm Peyton Santillanes.
We'll see you next week.
Welcome back to Sportslook. Thanks to Andres and Peyton for that very interesting high school spotlight. And now we bring back to the set of Sportslook Brent Owen. And Coach, you did us an incredible favor, and me in particular, by arranging your schedule to be my guest. And I have a little something for you. This was a book I wrote. It features the letters of a woman from Indiana where you played basketball and where you coached basketball. I thought you
Hey, thank you.
might be
Thank you
interested.
very much. I really, really appreciate that. I woke up in Indiana this morning, believe it or not. So here we are. Now I get an Indiana book. I appreciate that, Doc. Thank you very much.
Well, Coach, we do appreciate your being our guest. And if we were at the University of Kansas and they were doing that rhythmic, slow clap leading up, we'd be just about ready to say Rock Chalk Jayhawk.
We are certainly almost there, and man, it's about time. It's great that we're on the cusp, and it's a very, very busy time for our coaching staff, busy time for our team, but it's good to be busy finally, and you can see things progressing both recruiting wise and with our group, and they've went through a really, really tough series of conditioning, and that's over with now, and they're in shape, they're ready to play. And now they're excited they get to really focus on the basketball side. And so that's where we're at right now with our first scrimmage about 2 weeks away and the Arizona game coming up in about 3 weeks.
So there won't be any more Tuesdays and Thursday nights out at the Greyhound Stadium running?
The 9 p.m. runs are over for a while until we miss class or do something silly like that. But for now, yeah, they're in shape and they've earned it. And what's good about it is, I think they were kind of laughing, calling themselves the ENMU track team when they were out there, and it was kind of funny. But they know in their head that they've earned it, that they've earned the right to look Fort Lewis College in the eye, on that November 13th, our first regular season game, and say we've earned it. We're in better shape than you are, and we're going to go 40 minutes. So I'm excited about that. And even though I know they think it was really hard and difficult, I think they appreciate it now that they feel like they're in great shape.
And we will point out that while we have a really nice facility at Eastern New Mexico University, your kids are actually going to be playing in a slightly larger facility on the 13th and 14th.
Yeah, we're gonna get to play in the pit at UNM, a great facility. I've obviously seen tons of pictures of it, but haven't been in it yet. So I'm really excited to get in there. I know our guys are excited to play in there. A few have played in there in the past. But what a great, college basketball venue. Obviously from Indiana, I've followed Steve Alford's career quite a bit, so I've watched quite a few games in there, and the crowds they bring, and the atmosphere that's there, and all the history that's happened in there. So it'll be a great, opening venue for our regular season.
And I think it's pretty cool because our athletic director was the basketball coach at New Mexico, so he
Correct.
actually coached in that facility.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. And it's great to have. Can't say enough good things about what Dr. Weir's done already since he's been here. He's an incredibly hard worker. He's incredibly intelligent. It's nice to have a what I would call a borderline basketball genius down the hallway that I can bounce things off of. And he's been great about, hey, I'll help you as much as you want to help, as much as you want help, and I'll give you as much freedom as he didn't want me looking over my shoulder coaching, which is great, but he's there as a resource. And like I told him, I don't care where the answers come from. I just want to find the right answer. So it's great to have a guy like that who cares about basketball, as our AD, and I think things are really with him are going to move in the right direction.
Coach, I imagine it's kind of a little bit of two different worlds for you. On the one hand, the basketball season can't start soon enough, but yet on the other hand, as it gets closer, it's like, wait, we haven't covered this out of bounds play. We haven't covered this press breaker. And so,
were you watching our practice today? Because that was what was on my mind. Man, we've got a long ways to go, but we've got a good group, and they're bought in, and they're getting better. And it's good that we did get April was a big month for our program last year. We had a month where we could kind of get some things established, and so it's good to have some of that established where we've got some returners who know a little bit about what we're doing at least. But it's going to take time. This last year was a setback for our all of our programs, and it's kind of showing up this fall. But we hope that we can just move the needle forward and just continue to improve day by day. And I think if we do that, we've got enough talent to where we can compete towards the end of the season.
in the preseason, there are obviously guys that you expect are going to be at a certain level of performance, but there is always a guy that it's like, wow, I knew he'd be good at some point, but I didn't expect so much so fast. Who's been the most pleasant surprise so far?
I think our freshman point guard, Contrell Pullian, has really you bring in a freshman point guard, and it's kind of like, yeah, we're gonna have to bring him along, and he can maybe we can find some spot minutes for him his first year, and motion's a hard thing to run as a freshman point guard, and my former boss always one of the things we talked about is you can't count on freshmen to win you games. You won't, that's not fair to them. Freshman year's got to be kind of a building year, but man, oh man, this young man's got some poise. He's got some toughness. He's a very talented basketball player, and somebody that I think the fans are really going to enjoy watching because he plays so hard and he's so tough.
I guess that's why Purvis Ellison is still the only freshman to ever be most valuable player in a Final Four.
Yeah,
tough.
it's hard. It's hard to count on freshmen to win you games. It is. There's obviously some special talents out there, but for the majority of the players, they need some time to adjust, and it'll take some time for him to adjust as well. But he's a lot farther along than I thought he would be.
And speaking of farther along, obviously you want your defense and your offense to be both ready to go when the ball is thrown up for the first time and it counts for real. But if you had to say one is slightly ahead of the other right now, or are they both equal?
I think our defense is a little bit ahead of our offense, and that's kind of where it usually is going to be at this point in the year. Now our defense still has a ways to go, but it's we want to be a motion team, and I'm comfortable with, look, we could be better in November if we ran set plays, okay? But I'm interested in being better in March. And so motion you're not going to be as good as you could possibly be in November because it just takes time. It takes time to learn reads, and it takes time for them to learn each other and learn how to move the ball. And trust is really the word with motion. It just takes time to establish trust that if we move the ball, if we screen like we're supposed to, that we'll find a great shot. And we had a kind of a speech after practice about that today. When we're taking a shot, we got to take our best shot. And right now, they're still they're learning each other, and they're still learning the offense, and they've got to figure out what is our best shot. Well, our best shot is probably from 30 seconds to 20 seconds on the shot clock is probably a wide open or shot or layup. From 20 seconds to 10 seconds on the clock, it's got to be your first or second best shot that you shoot. Then under 10 seconds on the shot clock, now we got to get into a quick set. And somebody's got to go make a play and shoot a shot, So, but right now we're doing a lot more shooting a shot than we need to be. So, but that's just going to take time, and I realize that as a coach, and that's something that I hope the fans will understand. That I hope that they look at our team in November and look at our team in March and say, wow, like look how much better those guys got, and really really believe that's what motion provides. And defensively, we got to be great defensively early. We've got to get after it. We got to play hard. And yeah, I'd say that's more ahead based on how we're scoring the ball right now in practice. But we got good length. We've got guards with good length, and I think we've got a chance to be a really solid defensive team.
And basically, back in the day, showing my age, there used to be an expression that you could fan teams to the outside or you could funnel them to the middle defensively. Probably the terminology is different, but I imagine the principles are the same. Which philosophy are the Greyhounds going to do?
We're gonna fan to the outside. Yeah, we're gonna push baseline. We have kind of a pentagon, which is we put down tape on the court. It goes from kind of the top of the key to the wing down to the 3-foot hash mark on the baseline. That's where we're trying to force the ball. We don't allow the ball ever to get passed or dribbled from elbow to elbow or elbow to block. So we have a drill we call 20-second no man's land, where the drill is you have to defend for 20 seconds without letting the ball get into the paint. And very, very difficult drill where all the offense has to do is drive it in there. And so they really have to learn how to be in their gaps, how to help each other, how to get, we call it shoulder under shoulders. We want our shoulders to be below the offensive player's shoulders. So we've got, the center of gravity in our favor. And it's a really, really hard drill, but that's something they've been doing on a regular basis. We also have a drill we call 30-second drill, something we took from Southern Illinois University. They were really, really good back in the day defensively. And you got to play perfect defense for 30 seconds. You got to be on your line. But, if you ever let the ball get dribbled into the middle of the floor, it's, we do it, say flip it, and it's the other team's chance to win. So, we're going to really, really try. The whole key to our offense is we want to force teams to shoot long shots. We want to lead the league in rebounding. So we can do that if we keep the ball out of the paint.
Well, Coach, I can't wait till November 1st in Tucson, Arizona, because I'm going to get to see you coach your first game.
I'm excited. I'm excited to be there. Excited we'll do a little pregame interview, a little postgame interview, and have some fun out in Tucson. And I know there's some fans that are going to come along. I think there's some students that are going to come along, and should be a great kickoff to our year.
Well, Coach, thanks for being our guest.
Thank you.
All right, well, that is going to wrap up the interview segment of Sportslook. So what we'll do is we'll clear the set and I'll finish up with an overtime right now. In the movie The Empire Strikes Back, Han Solo is trying to avoid some Imperial cruisers by going through an asteroid field, and C-3PO is trying to tell him it's not really a very practical solution because of the odds. And Han Solo turns to C-3PO and says, "Never tell me the odds." Well, I wonder if there was somebody on the sideline telling that to Ty Hyatt on Saturday, because we talked about the fact during the introduction in the Eastern recap that the Greyhounds had kicked an onside kick and they recovered it. What are the odds? Well, actually, surprisingly better than you might think. Between 2014 and 2020, college football teams recovered 25% of all onside kicks. But you have to realize there are two types of onside kicks. There are the ones that are expected, and there are the ones that are unexpected. Unexpected onside kicks are recovered at a rate of about 45%. Well, you do the math, that means that the expected ones have a much lower percentage, about 12 to 13%. So when the Greyhounds went for the expected onside kick and got away with it, that was definitely a Han Solo move. Well, that is going to wrap up an overtime, and that will wrap up an episode of Sportslook. I'd like to thank my guests, Albert Flynn and Brett Owen. I'd like to thank Andres and Peyton for the high school spotlight. Floor crew directed by Mr. Zach. So for all those aforementioned people, this is Doc Elder saying, so long.
And I'm Peyton Santianes.
Yeah, I stuttered on that. To subscribe. I did that like.
That's all the highlights we have for you tonight. And I'm Peyton Santianes.